Hey guys, this is another edition of the Reasons to Back This Monster. To back this Kickstarter. This time it's 7 Reasons to Back This Monster of a Kickstarter, and this is the 7 reasons right here. And we're going to go into that in 1 minute. One of the things I wanted to do before I started my 7 reasons was to quickly give a shout out to those Kickstarters about to end, because I think that it's very important to also back my my fellow Kickstarter alumni, and I know some of them are literally in the last minute. So if you just bear with me for 1 minute, I would appreciate it. Dark Matter: Rise of Lexicons, an action fantasy mixed with a touch of science fiction that deals with intrigue, deception, and revenge as a new Camelot rises. That's ready to go. Beast Kings is ready to go. It's Hulk meets Batman. Jack Stevens is the Beast King. You got to check that out. The Lost Kids Seeking Smartland. The 5 kids mysteriously transported to a fantasy world filled with magic and airships must find a mythical lost city to return home. And you guys, of course, know that we're here talking about the monsters right now. But 2 other Kickstarters about to end that have been doing great is Saw the Lightning Wielder issue 2, The Dark Seed Spreads, and Welcome to the Void, which has left the void in the Kickstarter market. Absolutely great following for it. Congratulations to Chuck for an amazing campaign. Welcome to the Void ends tomorrow. It's an outsider finds power to create anything imaginable. Can he keep this power from falling into the wrong hands? Is he any better? Click here to become to back Welcome to the Void. All right, guys, so we're going to jump into my Kickstarter, but please, please take the opportunity to check out all these amazing Kickstarters. They are fantastic, and there's so many other ones I want to talk about today on Kickstarter Talk, which we're going to be filming later. But for right now, if you could just spend a minute with me about my project, I would greatly appreciate that, okay? So we're going to go down the 7 reasons to back it. Now, normally there'd be the answers here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the video, and we're going to see some cool stuff play above us.
Hey, guys.
And I'll talk while that's playing so you guys can see it. Well, why did you feel the need to help launch your project? And will your goal, if reached, cover all the creative costs? Okay, so why did I use Kickstarter? That's a good question. Honestly, for this project, no matter what I was going to make it, it was a popular hit this year on the Comic-Con highway. People have really loved it and asked if there'll be another story. I never put a 1 on the book, as Chuck Pino would tell me that number 1 means there would be number 2, but I always thought there should be a number 2 to the book. Even when I wrote it, I wanted to see people get excited about it, and they did. So I came to Kickstarter, and I've talked to people about feeling like I failed this Kickstarter with promoting and all that. And a lot of that failure came down to not necessarily a monetary failure, but necessarily a backer failure. So one of the reasons I go to Kickstarter is also to build excitement and get new readers to be part of the project. Especially a project like this, I think it really deserves some love and some eyes on it that maybe wouldn't see it on the Comic-Con highway. And I remember it was Bob Sally who had said to me that Kickstarter was a great way to get more eyes on your project. So that's why I came to Kickstarter. It wasn't necessarily a monetary thing at this point as much as it was a backing thing. Because me and the co-creator had negotiated good terms. Financially, it's a little bit of a cost to me no matter what happens, but I was okay with that because this is what I call an art project. It's a passion project for me. It's a wonderful story. I think it's very powerful, and I think that once you read it, you'll absolutely love it. I love the fact that this is our first official release from the Written Sins Comics imprint that I am particularly, it's my imprint, so this is really fascinating to me to have started it with this one because it's such a great start for it, I really think. So it does no Kickstarter I've ever run will cover all the creative costs, and that's okay. I don't need it to cover all of them. I just need a little push. What I need you guys to do is be behind me, backing it, and getting excited about the campaign and wanting to read what I write. That's why I write, so you guys can read something and tell me if you like it or not. How did the creative team behind this Kickstarter come together? It's an interesting story. I'll keep it brief, though, and it's actually playing in this video here. So now what you'll see right now in the video, if you guys are watching the screen, is concepts of, and we're getting right there, these are concepts of what we're supposed to be superheroes. I was bored one day between working on Fetish Babies and Jax the AnderSiN. Jax the AnderSiN was wrapping up, and I was about to letter it, waiting for Chuck to get back to the script. Because I had Chuck Pino, who's actually right there in the video, under a feature video. I had him quickly go over the Jax script, and I was waiting for it And I was talking to someone about an upcoming con, and they're asking me, was there be any way if I could possibly get a family friendly book? So I'd done Jackson. I was like, I should try to expand on this more and maybe do another book, a different book. So I wanted to do a superhero book. And this is what I got back. And it wasn't bad. It was going to be black and white. And it wasn't that the artist wasn't nailing it. I didn't think the reader would appreciate it because I wanted these people to look absolutely perfect. And he does this cool thing with the arms in retrospective. And he'd explain it a lot better than me. But I like it. I dig it. And until this moment in the story, I mean, in my life, in my story, actually, my real life story, I would have told you I would have never, ever done a Kickstarter. I mean, not a Kickstarter, a book about monsters, because monsters bored me. Everyone does something with monsters. Monsters, blah, blah, blah. I didn't feel like there was anything original. But somehow between making this and which is the story was about superheroes who kind of caused their own problems. So by taking that and seeing the art and being inspired by the art, I came up with And They Call Us Monsters, which is the story of the monsters that you thought you knew turned into human beings given genetic disorders. And it turns out, guess what? Hollywood is the one who turned them into monsters for ticket sales on the silver screen. And when bodies began to pile up, they had to prove they weren't the monsters that Hollywood had made them to be. And this launched a great idea. It introduced Stein. It introduced the Mummy. It introduced the Mummy, who's Mr. Mum. And it introduced Dracula, who for us is Mr. Drake. It was amazing, and it just kind of flowed out of me. I literally wrote the story in about 25 minutes and sent it to the artist, and he absolutely loved the story. He was excited about it. He's like, yeah, let's do it. And the funny thing, and Chuck will attest to this, is that 25-minute story that I'd written and sent him, probably the best first draft I've ever written, to be honest with you all. He had made such amazing art that got to the first book and got us through it, and you see his art now from issue 2 has only gotten better. So he makes this book, he sends it back to me, and I go back to the script. And true story, I had never edited the script. He drew everything based upon the rough draft. And me and Chuck had this awfully complicated script now that perfectly fit the art. And all it needed to do was be bumped up. So credit to my artist, who, by the way, is Sigahado. And you can find him on the Kickstarter, and I'll actually show him to you right now. So we got the Kickstarter up, and here we go. Here's the artist, and you can get him. I think I'm pronouncing his name right. I don't know. We don't really talk on the phone, so you know it's a partnership that doesn't necessarily have a phone connected to it. It's all Messenger these days. I'm a hip new kid. So I message everyone instead of calling. But I've never spoken to him, but he's a great guy. I love working with him. So that's how we came together. Boredom, and then we both liked the idea and we ran with it. Now we're talking issue 2 of A Trail of a Monster. What do you believe separates your Kickstarter from the thousands of other Kickstarters out there? A lot of things. I think that our art is progressive. We took a chance. We did art very differently. The book is watercolored amazingly. It's beautifully done. The art has this unique feel to it. The story itself took something you thought you knew and completely flipped it on its head. It has a Scooby-Doo feeling to it as well, and not the Scooby-Doo of nowadays, but Scooby-Doo's from back in the day. And it really challenges your ideas of what is societally acceptable and what is not. And I think that's kind of cool, and I really like challenging the narrative of our society with a book that kind of takes people that you thought you would be okay looking at them as monsters, and I'm making them human. And that's the point, is I made them so human that I don't think you'll ever look at monsters the same way again. Once you read my book, you're always going to feel for the monsters and see them for real characters instead of these horror film knockoff cardboard cutouts. And that's not a knock on them. It's just what they've become. And I think I've really transformed them into something brand new. Is this the Kickstarter for something bigger? I did announce on Chuck's program last night that I was on that this is going into an issue 3, but it's not really going to be an issue 3. So here's the deal. We're going to make it a trade back. After this story, it's going straight into a trade back. So it's going to be a bigger thing. And that's some of the reason the goal was so low, because I knew I wanted to do a trade. I want backers for this one, and we'll go over that in a minute. I do want to show you something about my Kickstarter that I think most people will be like, oh, wow, I never looked at it that way. But I really do want to see this become a trade. I think this will play really well in a trade with the story I'm going to tell. And the next issue is going to be 40 pages, so it's going to be pretty intensive. Are the stretch goals something important to you on this project? We kind of made them important, but I've never been a stretch goal person, and that's on me. I have to change how I do things and grow up and be more of a businessman when it comes to doing Kickstarter. So that was one of the reasons I had failed, is I didn't think of stretch goals, because I always thought of stretch goals as asking for more money once you got it. And I always looked at my goals as the bare minimum of what I needed, but I have to realize that I have to evaluate this project. This project should have honestly been put up for probably $1,000. To be able to completely fund it, maybe put some money into the new stuff, get the art done, all the costs should have been about $1,000. So I don't think I was honest. I looked at the goal as what I wanted to pay for it to get it done and to help out, pretty much cover the shipping for some of the books. So that's on me, and I need to change that. So stretch goals weren't important this time, but they will be for the next trade. If you saw this project pretending it wasn't what you, wasn't yours, what would you think of it, and how would you react to it, and why? I would absolutely love the idea. I'd be jealous that I didn't think of it, I think, honestly, because it's so clever. A lot of it's so clever, and I have sometimes a problem with being too clever, but in this one book, I nail the cleverness just right. Just right. Just every step is just calculated perfectly. It really did become a nice mixture, especially the second book. I think I really turned the creative juices up in the second one. What was the inspiration behind this project? We had talked about it. It was the art. It was the artist. The artist's art absolutely inspired me. When he drew some of the first things, and I can show it to you in the video in here, when I saw that, when I saw some of the first art coming out of it, this other project, I absolutely knew that we could make a monsters book. And then sure enough, we were able to translate it into the monsters that you guys are going to fall in love with. You give this book a chance, you're going to love these characters. And there's even a funny joke, and I'll tell you, normally you guys never hear me talk about the Invisible Man. For those who haven't read the book, there's a good reason I don't talk about the Invisible Man a lot. I turn the Invisible Man into that guy you know, that girl you know, who you never really realize is around, who kind of always fades to the back, who's always the one that people forget to invite. Well, that's who the Mr. Invisible is. He's the guy who no one really pays attention to. He's very plain. He's very ordinary. There's nothing that sticks out about him. There's nothing unique about him. And for that reason, he just winds up being able to disappear from everyone's thoughts. So he can get away with some really messed up things, and people actually forget that he did these messed up things. Like he's the only monster who's actually really kind of a monster. He's a Bernie Sanders on Wall Street. So not Bernie Sanders. Why am I saying Bernie Sanders? Not Bernie Sanders. What was his name? Bernie Sanders is a good guy. I apologize for that. Not Bernie Sanders. Bernie Madoff. There we go. The pyramid scheme guy. So yeah. And as you can see, man, the art was different, but I love the art. I love that uncompromising artistic feel to it. And the seventh reason, or what says, okay, so give these guys those are the 7 good reasons, and give them the elevator pitch. I think you guys know the elevator pitch. So instead, I just wanted to talk about something, and I'll give you the taglines. The monsters are back in. A monster betrayal. The monsters are in trouble, doubled this time, and they have to call in the Wolfman to sniff out the rat. All right, so now you guys will see that the crossover with Fetish Babies began with this. That was because Damien had actually done some cool art, and we're going to be going into Fetish Babies in October. I actually have to start setting up that Kickstarter. We're in August now, and it's going to be fantastic. I'm excited. We should be getting book 3 in our hands in days now, setting out those rewards, which got a little delayed because of a bunch of stuff going on this year. But all this art is available for people to get. Now, one of the things I wanted to really go over is the fact that I didn't really put in a lot of high-tier stuff on purpose. There is no build into a character. There's some original art. There's Become a Monster in the book in the future. But I didn't really put in, like, character incentives where you could, like, you know, I want to say this without being offensive to anyone. I didn't do anything that would milk people for money. And that's I call it milking for money, and maybe I'm wrong for that. Maybe I need to change my perspective. Like, we don't do alternative covers. I don't get someone. You've seen the art for Monsters. I love the art. I'm not going to say anything bad about the art because I absolutely love it. But I think it would be disingenuous to have anyone have the cover but my artist. And I went to my artist and I was like, "Do you want the cover?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Cool, do it." Because I wanted to make sure he was comfortable. We came up with this beautiful cover, and I absolutely love the cover. And I mean, I guess I could have drawn a sexy woman on the cover that would have made nothing to the project. Hi, Jaxie. Jaxie's coming in to visit me. How you doing, buddy boy?
Sweetheart, Daddy's doing the video.
So we have this amazing cover, but I could have done alternative covers. I could have charged a lot for things. I could have put things in the project that didn't focus on it. And I just don't like those cheap tricks. I'd keep my goals thin. I mean, my rewards thin and easy for you guys to understand. The original art, I think, is kind of badass. You can get a copy of some amazing stuff, and I think that's awesome. I put in my Mr. AnderSiN review if you want me to review the book. But the truth is, I'll do it for free most times. So, you know, it was just more of a thing to add because I saw other people add. The one thing I really hated myself for not adding was pick it up at a con. I always liked putting that one in, and I messed that up. The crossover art, like you guys can see, like even with the art, this is about a great opportunity to promote another project because these two will be crossing over in the Advocator. You guys can see some of my original coloring and how it'll change over time, but I thought that'd be a cool, unique reward. So, you know, I'm excited. I got 42 backers. That's right where I wanted to be. Like, financially, I wasn't too worried about it because this wasn't a book that I was going to honestly print a lot of copies of. I need enough copies to get us to the trade, which the trade will be being worked on probably next year. So I needed about 100 copies, maybe more. But I mean, if you get the 100 first copies and then you print them and then you get money from printing them, then they should be able to pay for the next printing, right? So I'm pretty okay with the dollar amount. I'm actually thrilled by us being over because 250 was right around where I thought I would need to be able to print 100 copies. You figure 100 copies is about $200. Rewards sent out, but rewards really the cost of the rewards should only be shipping because either way you're printing the 100 and you just count that as part of the 100. So I hope that I've inspired someone who's been listening to me to understand how important this project is and how amazing this is. And I thank you all for taking the time to watch it with me and go over these questions. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them. I'm going to quickly play the video, the longer video for those of you guys who didn't know, because I really thought that this would be interesting. A lot of people don't know that there was a video that was longer, and this should be hopefully the 8-minute video. Here we go. So I don't think a lot of people. Hey guys, and welcome to my Kickstarter video. Kickstarter videos are interesting. See this guy in the picture? That's me. But do you really need to see me talking? You want to know why you should back this Kickstarter. I'm going to tell you a story about the story and what influenced it and how it got there. I'm the creator and the writer. You guys know me. I'm the Unboxable Advocating Creator, known as Mr. AnderSiN. A lot of reasons for the Unboxable, and Monster became one of them. But we'll get there. Hold on. First, I want to introduce you to the amazing co-creator and artist of Monsters series. This is C. Gajardo. He graduated from the Joe Corbett School of Cartoon and Graphic Art, Inc. Gajardo sees comics as an art form and looks to push it into boundaries by combining contemporary fine art with sequential storytelling, using a variety of media such as pencil, ink, and watercolor with a slice of surrealism. C. Gajardo has contributed to a number of anthologies, including the 2016 Harvey Award-nominated The 27 Club by Red Stylo Media. C. Gajardo use of neo-humanism figurative painting with the meta panel, first developed by the legendary Will Eisner, creates what C. Gajardo calls the technique of sequential surrealism. So now, his art is very unique. I like unique. I'm unique. I think we're all unique. But he lets his unique out there to shine, and so do I. So we got together one day on Facebook because I wanted to make a superhero book because I was bored. Literally, I was bored one day, and I said, hey, does anyone want to work? I have this story I just made. And literally, I'd only written the story a couple hours before. And this is common with me, believe it or not. I do this quite often. Not all of the characters and not all the things we work on get to be made. This is a good example. This was going to be a story about superheroes called Super Consequences. These are some preliminary sketches that no one has seen before. You guys are seeing this for the first time. So I'm actually giving you an exclusive here on this Kickstarter video to you guys see something. I won't go into the story, but the story was about superheroes and consequences. I looked at the art, and I didn't see the art selling superheroes. So I wanted the superheroes to be these perfect beings that we would almost envy to be and hate that we're not, and even be a little jealous of. I didn't think the art represented those characters. However, I liked the art. I was inspired by the uniqueness of it. And until this moment in my life, as I've said many times on the Comic-Con highway, if anyone had asked me if I'd made a story about monsters, I'd say, no, it's already been done. But something about this man art, this Cigajardo man, inspired me to create something. And that something became And They Call Us Monsters. I can't tell you exactly why it came to me, but I can tell you it took me 20 minutes to write him the story, give it to him, and him to say, yeah, I'm in. And then we began our journey. Now, on this journey, we wound up going to Kickstarter. When I went to Kickstarter, I was terrified that we wouldn't get funded for this one because I didn't know what people would think of it. I didn't know if they'd see the brilliance in the art, and I didn't know if people would like a story about monsters who were human beings given genetic disorders. I was about to take the classic monsters that everyone knew and make them human. I was going to demonstertize them and use them to show who the real monsters in life was. This project actually happened in the middle of Irma, too, which was very horrible because I lost communication basically for 2 weeks. I'm happy to say that we more than funded. Our goal was $750. We got to $947. So there was definitely this desire to see the monster story. We took that, we printed it, we shared it with the world. And as we shared it with the world, people began to really fall in love with the characters. This led us to a sequel. The sequel called A Monster of Betrayal. Monster of Betrayal is the continued story, which even though I wrote it as a one-shot, I left a lot of doors open. This is those doors being opened for us to see a whole different side of all the characters, including the introduction of what is going to be one of my favorite characters ever that I created, or recreated, I guess, in a way, because Wolfman's been out there already. This is the Wolfman. And the Wolfman is very unique because he's the one monster that doesn't mind being called a monster. In fact, he uses his monster status to make money as he goes to Comic-Cons and dresses up as a cosplayer. Now, this time around, our monsters find themselves against it really badly. They call the Wolfman in for help, and they need to figure out if the Wolfman can help them smell out the rat. I'm not going to give too much away from you guys, to you guys, but I want you to know this is some of my best writing, and the art is definitely next level. I have to give credit to my artist and co-creator, Cigajardo, for him raising the bar a lot from the first to the second book. And I'm excited to say that this will be the first book launched under the brand new AnderSiN comic imprint of mine. And I'm thrilled to have it be the representation of what AnderSiN comics is about. You guys can take a quick look at our page as it's getting ready. But right now below, you'll see a different page with more things filled out and hopefully you supporting it. It's all about creating new worlds. I hope that I've given you a reason to back it. And I've shown you the creativity that we've come from and how everything began and became monsters. And I really do think that you guys will enjoy this story. And I'm happy to say that as we've gone from Comic-Con to Comic-Con, we've had a lot of people be very interested in the unique idea of monsters being turned into human beings given genetic disorders. And it's Hollywood that has turned them into monsters to make money off of their genetic diseases. It's also a story of trying to figure out who the real monsters are in life. And finally, it is all about how we are perceived but not really seen. Hope you guys take this trip with us. There's some amazing rewards. Sorry to have taken up so much of your time today. I really hope that you guys share this with your friends, because I think it's worth a share, and it's certainly worth at least $1, if not more. If you have any questions, please reach out to me on many of the different platforms I have, including Indie Advocates, which you guys probably know if you follow me. And quickly, I just want to give a shout out to someone amazing who's been part of this and could not be forgotten. I think a lot of times the editors do get forgotten, and I don't think that's cool at all to forget. So I want to give a shout out to Chuck Pino, and I want to tell you guys that right now, as our Kickstarter is live, so is Chuck Pino's Welcome to the Void. It's on Kickstarter right now too, and it's really cool, and you guys should go check it out. I'll be honest, if you're going to back one Kickstarter, back his, because we're a continued story. We are pre-orders for this book, and I think I've talked too much. You guys like monsters? You like good storytelling? Well, Monsters or Void is for you. Why not back them both? Chuck has helped us mold this story, and it's my privilege to call him someone that I rely on, an amazing friend, and a great co-creator, as he is creating such amazing stuff on his own, and he's a fantastic editor. My name is Mr. AnderSiN, and I've been advocating for Chuck, Cigardo, and me in the creation of A Monster of a Betrayal. So, I mean, I don't know if I could say anything more to you guys. I think I've given a good pitch at this point. There's a lot of passion that goes into my project, and a lot of times I confuse passion for profiteering, and I worry about it. Well, not confuse the two, but worry about combining the two. So sometimes I do take more of a step back with a project like this, and I don't give it as much love and credit as I do other people. I'm more comfortable promoting other people because other people are awesome, and I'm awesome too, don't get me wrong, but I like to help them out. And in this regard, I just wanted to take a minute. I really wanted to thank those, especially Sam Johnson, Chuck, Travis, Josh Dahl, and you guys should know Chuck and Travis because we're doing the Advocator together. But in case you don't, Chuck Pino and Travis Gibb, great guys who have been supporting me. Marcel Dupree's giving me a ton of shout outs. The list goes on. I've been so touched by the response, and one day maybe I'll be able to tell the story of behind the scenes of a lot of what's been going on in my life. But today's not that day. But I can assure you that some of the missed opportunity for this Kickstarter was uncontrollable on my part, and I definitely had a different plan going into it. So I am so thrilled and amazed to see 42 backers. I would like 50 though. I would like to match it with the first book, at least match it, because I think like sometimes if you don't match it, it's not as good to be seen publicly as not doing that. So I need your help. I really do. I need you guys to, first off, if you believe in this concept, even just a little bit, and you're like, that's a cool idea, and I like Rob, aren't I worth a single dollar? There's literally a place right here where you can pledge $1. Please, please take the opportunity to do so. I really, really would appreciate it. It would mean worlds to me to just see who's backing me. I don't care, man. Anyone who backs me for $1 is aces in my book. Second, if you guys could share it, that'd be so awesome. There are these little buttons over here that make sharing so easy. And if you guys could be so cool as to share that for me, I really would be gratefully, eternally grateful for it. And you just hit the tweet button, and there it is. I mean, it's that simple. And even on Facebook, if you just give a shout out to me and just be like, you know, Rob, here's me helping you. You don't even got to say anything about the book. You know, you can just say that I'm doing this for Rob because he's a good guy, or Rob asked me, or Rob threatened me. That'll work too. It'll anything you guys can do to help me get to the 50 today. And if I don't get to 50, I'm still going to be thrilled about this. 42 backers. And I know there's some people who are out there who get like hundreds of backers, but it doesn't matter. 42 people believe in me. That says a lot. I'm happy with that. I'm thrilled with that. One day it'll be 1,000. One day I'll do a Kickstarter to be 1,000 people. backing my Kickstarter, and that'll be awesome. But it won't be as awesome or more awesome. It'll be the same amount of awesome. Every time someone backs me, that is awesome. So what I'm going to say for this is thank you to the 42 who have backed me. I would love those of you still not on Team Monster. We'll do caps on Monster to switch on over. Now, because I'm just like, this is shit, let's fix this. But I mean, that's it, guys. That's the show. My battery's running out. I appreciate you. I really do thank you. This is the last time I'm going to be talking about it outside of Kickstarter Last Rites. And in Last Rites, I generally only have about 5 minutes. So I'm not going to give myself any more time than anyone else on that program because that wouldn't be ethical or right. So thank you, honestly, for everyone who shared that, who've talked to me about it, who've read it and given me feedback. You guys are all awesome. You guys are all rock stars. My name is Mr. AnderSiN, and for once, I was advocating for me and monsters to stop the bias against monsters.